Popular outdoor patio, great drink specials, all the big games on their numerous screens, and it's the perfect place for your next private event, even large gatherings for over 200. The Park Tavern is your go-to destination for everyone. Have fun at the Park Tavern, Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed roofing, siding, window, and insulation contractor in the metro. Ryan is so excited about working with AM 950 and our listeners that he wants to help us grow.
This is Ryan, owner of Snap Construction. I was friends with Chad long before I started marketing with him. I was a bit skeptical of radio advertising before Chad convinced us to run ads. The advertising's been so successful, we want to help the station grow. We've absolutely loved working with the listeners of AM 950, and we all know how extremely important this radio station is to the community. To help AM 950 grow, Snap Construction will be putting up proceeds to assist the station in marketing on social media. Snap Construction encourages you to follow, engage, share, and interact on the AM 950 social media platforms. Together, we can all work to ensure AM 950 continues to thrive and grow in our communities. We stand by our work with a lifetime craftsmanship guarantee. For a free estimate or more information on our financing, call 612-333-SNAP or check us out online.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 95. Tonight, showers and storms with a low around 71. And Wednesday, sunny with a high near 96. Come visit the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or weekend brunch. For breakfast, try the slow-cooked brisket hash, hippie cakes, and meat waffle. While for lunch, enjoy favorites like the veggie burger or beet salad. Located off 29th and Johnson and at hazelsnetogo.com. Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. Let's go with it. We can just go with the second hour stuff. That's cool. Matt and Patrick here. How are you doing today? I hope you're having a very good one. We, of course, usually have Patrick Cooligan join us here on the Tuesday's editions of the show, but it doesn't sound like he could make it today. So Walker Orenstein is going to join us over at MinPost. He's had quite a few exceptional stories lately, and yeah, it's going to be nice chatting with him. So that's coming up here in the 4 o'clock hour with Brett. Patrick, how are we today?
Doing well. Sorry about that. Was doing some producer stuff and it was on the wrong music page.
If this is okay, if I actually was one of those people that wanted to run a tight ship, I would have run screaming from this industry 20 years ago. No, I'm cool, man. That's not that's the extent of it. That's not that song, is it? Or am I wrong? I mean, let's say so. There's quite a bit of head trauma involved with me, so that's the case. It is. God, is it awful? But I mean, it sounds like we're gonna get some storms tonight. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah, it looks like this doesn't seem to happen as much as it did when I was a kid. But sometimes you'd get that just gigantic line of storms that would come through about 2:30 or 3 in the morning, and that doesn't happen all that often anymore. Because it used to be, like I said, you could expect that to happen, 2 or 3 times a summer, but it really doesn't happen very much anymore.
Well, that's what's supposed to happen tonight, though. In the overnights, we're going to get a line coming through.
Yep. Sometime forecast I looked at was between 3 and 4 was the best chance.
Okay. So, well, just be advised if you're going to be out and about, and you don't be surprised you get woken up by a little bit of God saying hi. It's God's alarm clock. Hello there. It's 2:14. Welcome. Actually, I have no idea when it is going to be. Don't take that as a prediction. So, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I do have to take some time here to, and I got to touch once again on this CNBC ranking of Minnesota number 4. But I want to start this by basically giving a little bit of background about myself. Just simple, really easy. I am 54 years old. I have been at this radio station for 13 years. Wow, what happened? I've been back in Minneapolis since 2000. I worked the Upper Midwest Radio Shuffle before then. I have traveled the world. I've gone to Europe, extensively traveled there. I've traveled around the United States. I am 54 years old. I'm living where I want to live. I'm living in the state I want to live in. I'm living in the city I want to live in. I have seen other places. I'm not saying they're not nice. There are always some values to every place I've ever been. It's not Minneapolis, St. Paul. It's not Minnesota. It just is not. By the way, quick little side note. I want you to remind all those people in Arizona that when it comes to January and February, it's like 70 degrees here. Look at the sunshine. Oh, I hear it's snowing there. You remind them that people's shoes are melting to the ground right now. And people have actually gotten 3rd-degree burns from the pavement in Arizona. So yeah, just throw that. Yeah, it's a real dreamboat come summertime down there nowadays. Holy cow. I live where I want to live. I live in the house I want to live in. I'm surrounded by the people I want to be surrounded by. I have the job that I want. I really like doing this. It's fun. I enjoy it. I'm working at the radio station I want to work at. Absolutely. I eat the food that I want to eat. I do the things that I want to do. I am happy. Why am I saying this? Because apparently we need to have a bit of a session here about understanding what life is. There's no do-overs. There's no redos. There's nothing like that. You got one trip around on this rock, okay? You got one trip around. You being miserable is wasting your life. Absolutely. If you're miserable, you are wasting your life because you got one of them. Now, I'm not talking about the things we all go through. It's like all of a sudden you have a sick parent, and for 2 years you're having to help take care of a sick parent and stuff like that. I mean, that stuff like that pops up, and you have to deal with that and roll with the punches as it goes. But when it comes to your life, you should be leading the life that you want. And the great thing about happiness is it's the great nullifier, is that there people like to sit there and say, money, and all this stuff. And it's not. I know plenty of people who are middle and lower class who are happy as clams. I know a lot of people with a ton of money who are not happy. Now, I'm not saying it's universal. I know a lot of people with a lot of money that are very happy. And I know a lot of people who are middle and lower class who are not. But happiness is a great, exception. Anyone can be happy. You have to learn how to live within your own life and be what you want to be. There is nothing stopping you from going out and finding the life that you should want. If you are not happy, and I want to be very clear, I am saying this as a proud Minnesotan, as a person that loves this city, as a person that loves this state. If you're not happy here, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing? You've got one life. Why are you wasting it someplace you don't want to be? Leave. You'll be happier. I'm going to bet most of us will be happier too. And that's just a reality. Angry people, miserable people suck to be around. They do. They just are. They're not cool, man. We can't get legalized dope fast enough. we can't have August 1st roll around fast enough here. But no, unhappy people, mean people, people who are miserable, you're not a lot of fun to be around. It's sad and it's tragic because this is, we have something that has happened here, and I have talked about it. I talked about it yesterday. And I really started looking last night at a lot of the responses to this story that I posted, the CNBC story, where basically Minnesota ranks as number 4 in the country for places to live. It is a lovely place. It is a lovely place, and I'm not leaving. When it comes to factors like healthcare and inclusion, Minnesota is among the best states to live in. That's according to CNBC, which recently released the 2023 ranking of top 10 states in the country to live and work. The ranking uses data from the top states of business study, which scored Minnesota in the top 5 there. CNBC determined the top states in the country to live and work based predominantly on life, health, and inclusion category from its business rankings. The category looks at factors including crime and environmental quality, healthcare, childcare, anti-discrimination laws, and worker protections. Now, there used to be a time where someone would release a list of something like this, and it would be like, Minnesota is a top 3 arts state, you know? And sure, you might not go to the arts, but you still say, hey, you see that? We're number 3 in the arts. We all, yay, great. You could be the top state for dirt track racing. I haven't been to a dirt track race in a long time. But at the same time, it's like, hey, there you go. Apparently, it's thriving out there, and where these dirt tracks are at, and good for them. It used to be a source of pride. It used to be a source of state pride to have us ranked like this. Then came the Republicans, and the Republican Party has to create negativity for you to consider to vote for them. That you could have a high quality of life, that you could have, good schools, good healthcare, good all these things, right? And they have to convince you, no, you don't really have anything good. You're actually really, 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 really bad. And that the only way you can save yourself is to put us in charge completely and let us undo everything. And it's comical because in our modern political world, that's what their people want to hear. It's no longer just it's bad there. It's an open rooting against your state. This has evolved after. I remember the first time I started seeing this with Republicans, like 2012, 2013, basically at the time of Obama. And the state would get a good rating, or in the time of Dayton, and the state would get a good rating, and like, yeah, that's not good. It's horrible. Comrade Dayton is in full control. How could anybody be happy here? That sort of thing. And it was like, wow, really? And that was politics. All you were doing was playing politics. And that is it's the Republican politicians, it's the Republican media outlets, it's the Republican trolls on social media screaming, "That is that!" And that's what they do. That is this is their game plan for winning. But it has evolved now into a gleeful and joyful bash session on the state that they live in. Minnesota's the number 4 state in the country. How dare they? How this cesspool, this hatred, it's horrible. How dare they? And you're like, how? You're broken people, man. And you've gotten to the point where you have believed the press that you yourself have created. So you sit there and you basically vilify the state that you live in because the only thing that matters to you is your politics. And this is the tough love moment, folks, okay? This is the tough love moment. If that's where you're at, you need to leave because you've poisoned the water well at this point. You will never be happy. You're at best you can hope for, because Minnesota's only getting more Democrat. I mean, I got bad news for you guys on the right. This state is only getting more and more Democrat. You might win a House or a Senate. Unless something really atrocious happens with the DFL, which once again they can miss the easy layup a lot of times. I don't see you starting to sweep the statewide offices. I talked about this yesterday in regards to people like Rod Grams, where Rod Grams ran and said, I'm really this moderate, and he becomes like the far right guy. And then he tried to run for re-election as, I'm really a moderate. No, you're not. You're not even close to being a moderate. So you might pick up one or two seats here or there, but for the most part, you're at best going to have a divided government, which means the Democrats will be in somewhat control, which means you won't have your freaking conservative utopia that you keep thinking you're going to have. And you're never going to be happy. You have drunk the Kool-Aid. You guzzled it. You've asked for seconds and thirds. You have bought into this narrative that you have to destroy the state that you live in, and that's all you people do. That's all you do. You can't see the beauty. You can't see the joy. You can't see the positivity. You can't see any of it. It's just hate, 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 hate. Why the F are you here? Now, it's one of two things. One, they know down deep inside, as much as this is their rhetoric, they know down deep inside Minnesota is gold. And they just rather sit here and be that jerk that no one likes to be around and sit and complain about it and act like they're striking the sword of justice or something. I don't know. But no one likes you. You know, I'm just going to be honest. No one really likes the person who's, you know, no one likes that, okay? The other side of this is that you just haven't realized it's time to go. This is the tough love element. It's time for you to go. And I understand that's hard for me because I like Minnesota. It breaks my heart that there are people here that might have lived here their entire lives. But you'll never be happy here. You're just not going to be happy. You might be happy for 2 years, but then the doom and gloom after the Republicans screw things up again, and basically you sit there cowling and frowning and it's the worst state ever. Well, then go. Because someone needs to tell you this. And there isn't a single stupid reason that you've created in your mind that you have to stay. You can get a job someplace else. You can buy a house someplace else. The kids will find schools someplace else. You're probably not going to be as nice as our schools, but you know, still you can find schools. You might have to pay for private schools to get anything close to the quality of Minnesota. You can go there. Sure. Oh, my mom and my dad, I need to stay close to them. Okay, Iowa, Wisconsin, the Dakotas, they're right there. Iowa is 90 minutes to the south. Wisconsin's 20 minutes or 40 minutes away from Minneapolis, really. I mean, from the west side of Minneapolis, you can get over to Wisconsin pretty quickly. The Dakotas are a little bit more of a challenge, but it's still interstates that run out there. You can be back in Minneapolis or to your parents' house in 2-3 hours. Stop making excuses. You have got one trip on this spinning rock. Single. That's it. And you wasting it being miserable is bad for you. You're going to die early. You're going to get sick. You're really going to not have a good life. I want you to go have a good life. Go find your happy place. I can't tell you how happy I am to be here. I love this state. I love this city. This city kicks ass. It's just amazing. I have been in cities across Europe, across this country. I love Minneapolis. I wouldn't ever live anywhere else. I love it. But if that's not you, and all you do is you see a poll that comes on out and says, Minnesota's number 4, no, it's not, and you spend the next 3 freaking days screaming at your top of your lungs because you're so incensed. The state you live in is getting accolades for quality of life. Okay. I don't know where else to go with that outside of you need to go. And like I said, you'll be happy and we'll be happy. If this is really where you're at, go. If it's not, if you're just sitting and bitching and moaning, just go away. How about that? 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Multiple new paths of trying to rip on Minnesota. I will tear down here in a second. It is the Matt McNeil Show, 952-946-6205. It's AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Story we had. You adore me. Why do you ignore? Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is having their annual sale. For the entire month of July, all of their indoor and outdoor fireplace products and accessories are at the lowest price of the year.
Did you know that now there's also a 30% federal tax credit when you install an efficient wood heating stove or fireplace? At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we can explain and show you the many options. We have the Twin Cities' widest selection of wood-burning stoves and fireplaces.
I love my wood stove. We enjoy the sense of well-being we get by cutting and splitting wood to warm our home. Wood is our choice, but you may have other choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Whether transforming an existing fireplace or adding something new, a clean burning wood, gas, or electric fire can have you sitting pretty and cozy by the fire.
Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces at Riverside and East Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis or at woodlandstoves.com. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblotfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
It is. It's just, I find it incredibly sad that this is the modern Republican. You know, you live, I mean, I've talked about this too. I'm just talking about this in regards to Minneapolis, St. Paul. I've said this before. It's like, if you really hate Minneapolis, St. Paul, and you vowed to never go into the city, what are you doing here? You could move to a Mankato. You could move to a Hutchinson, Sandstone, Pipestone, Albert Lee. You could move up to Fergus Falls, Thief River Falls, Alexandria. You could move to any of these places. And you're going to get the same kind of quality of life that you get out in the tertiary suburbs. You know, if you're not going into the city, I mean, it'll be a lot cheaper for you. It'll be a lot less expensive for you. You can buy a house cheaper. You can buy, food is going to be cheaper. It's just that you can do that, but yet they don't. Why? Well, once again, either they know they really like Minneapolis, St. Paul, and they're just complaining a lot, or they're just too afraid to admit the truth. And I say, go, but be happy. Be happy. You got one trip on the spinning rock. Go and be happy. Let's get Gary in here really quick. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Gary, welcome on in.
Yeah, man, I like it here too. I like the four seasons.
Yep.
The summers are kind of hot for me and humid, but one thing better about the winter is you can bundle up when you go outside. But what I really got called about was I'm afraid we're going to get too popular with all these water shortages. There's a drought going on that people are going to flock here. The Great Lakes region has about a fourth of the fresh water in the world, I heard. I think that's right.
Well, I mean, and thanks, Gary. I appreciate it. First of all more people are welcome. I think that's a completely, to a point, it's a different topic because we have to deal with climate change. And the thing which is funny is the people who are in the southern states, for the most part, are the ones who are the most vocal anti-climate change people. It's not really going on. And like I said, you got people in Arizona, God help them. They're getting third degree burns from the pavement because it's so hot down there. The low temperatures were like 94. The low. Oh, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It's a dry heat. I know. So one of the things which is I've had thrown at me a few times now is apparently this litany of businesses are leaving the state. This is now I could bring in as a matter of fact, first of all, I'll put a counterpoint in before I get into the discussion. A Canadian solar panel company with the presence in Minnesota's Iron Range is reportedly planning on building a $145 million facility in the Twin Cities. That's according to Reuters, which is reporting Monday that Helene, H-E-L-I-E-N-E, Helene has earmarked the MSP Metro for a manufacturing facility for its solar modules and cells. Helene's chief executive, Martin Pachatruk, told the news organization last week, by the way, that's a Canadian name, that the facility will produce 1 gigawatt of modules and 1.5 gigawatt of cells a year, which follow the new series of incentives for domestic renewable energy production included in the Biden administration's Inflation Reduction Act passed last year. So there you go. That's I think that's a big old positive for sure. The site hasn't yet been selected, but it's hoped to start production of the modules by 2024, next year. The company is based in Ontario already, has a facility in Silicon Way and Mountain Iron, which has been operational since 2018. So good news. That's a business. That's a new one coming in. Yay, go team, go. It doesn't stop the right from screaming, every business is leaving. There's no restaurants open. No one's working downtown. It's a ghost town. Yeah. You know, their usual standard. You can tell I'm getting kind of tired of it. But it's the truth. Why are you here? Why are you here? Who's the idiot for staying? You are. That's right. But they're pointing towards specifically two businesses. One is this engineering company that's been around in Minnetonka for 50 years, and they're saying, look, it's taking its stuff and it's moving to Texas. Well, it's moving to Texas because it merged with a Texas company, and the majority of their employees are now in Texas. So it'd actually be more cost effective for them to move to Texas than to move everyone up here, which, I wish that'd be nice if they did, but that's not, like, you're making it seem like someone, like an executive at a company is walking into the office one day and going, fine, shut the doors, get the trucks in here, I've had it. That's not what's going on. And by the way, the address for the company might be moving to Florida or Texas. All the people and the workers are still in Minnesota. Just FYI, a lot of these. Which is, hey, you don't like seeing people try to cheat the state, but good luck in Florida, because eventually I guarantee that will come back to haunt you. The other one, by the way, the other business that the conservatives have said, this is just a sign of the apocalypse. It's apparently a cigar store up in Forest Lake. Okay. He's had it. He's going to go to Florida, and he put out this long list of, I can't stand this. Well, good luck to you. By the way, it will be a hoot when you find out about homeowners insurance in Florida. I know they don't even have it anymore because of the hurricanes, but we'll let that be a surprise. We'll let that be a surprise. Every repair you have to do on your house is out of pocket, but sure, I'm so sure you'll sell tons of cigars and everything like that while you basically hate on Minnesota. Good luck. Bye-bye. And good for him, to a point. Good for him. Sure, you want to take a swipe at the state? Fine. I'll criticize you for that. But good. Go for two reasons. One, because I think that this utopia that you think Florida is going to be, it isn't going to be. When your daughter comes home with a meth gator as a date, it's like, okay, maybe not the best way to go. But as well, just like I said, once you get in there and the roads aren't taken care of, the quality of life is bad, schools are horrible, you can't get insurance on your house, all the other problems. It'll be a surprise. But no, if that's where you think you're going to be happy, go be happy. Being kind of a jackass as you go out the door, but still, bon voyage. We will not miss you. No one will care. You will be happy. We will be happy. And there you go. And scene. See how easy that is? You can even take the swipe as you head out the door. Just, if you do come back in a few years, don't be surprised if we kind of look at you and it's like, I see you came back. Oh yeah. I mean, I still hate it here, but there are some benefits here I think are a little bit better. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. When we do come on back, I still got to do some defending here of the state of Minnesota. I don't know what Racket was thinking here, but okay, we got to go down this path. And Patrick actually has a good analysis of this. I'll get to that here in a second. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hey, it's Tom. Fossil fuels continue to have negative impacts on our environment. Luckily, there are more ways now than ever to use renewable energy in your home or business. All Energy Solar offers smart energy solutions like custom solar paneling, electric vehicle chargers, and energy storage. Solar panel systems can last for decades, meaning you can help the environment and cut back on electric bills for years to come. There are incentives and rebates available to most people who install solar energy, too. Last year, the federal solar tax credit increased to a 30% tax credit. This incentive can be used in combination with other incentives from your utility, county, or city. But don't delay or miss out, as many of these incentives are limited to only a certain number of people. So have a professional from All Energy Solar help you discover how solar can power up your property while saving on your energy costs. Call 800-620-3370 or visit allenergysolar.com.
The Powderhorn Art Fair is returning to Powderhorn Park to celebrate its 32nd anniversary, August 5th and 6th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day. The fair will feature a vibrant and diverse selection of art from over 150 exhibiting artists from across the country. Whether you're just starting an art collection or a seasoned buyer, they'll have the perfect piece for you. Plus, there's more. Immersive art installations offer fairgoers a chance to explore interactive experiences that transport them into an artist's vision. In addition to all the fantastic art, over a dozen food vendors serving up sweet and savory delights will be ready for you and other hungry fairgoers. A family zone will offer creative activities for kids of all ages and entertainment each day. The fair and activities are free to attendees. Make plans to head to Powderhorn Park on August 5th and 6th. Learn more at powderhornartfair.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 95. Tonight, showers and storms with a low around 71. And Wednesday, sunny with a high near 96. Come visit the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or weekend brunch. For breakfast, try the slow-cooked brisket hash, hippie cakes, and meat waffle. While for lunch, enjoy favorites like the veggie burger or beet salad. Located off 29th and Johnson and at hazelsnetogo.com.
I also had a union guy basically saying, no, all the union people hate it here. Seriously. I'll call your bluff on that one in a heartbeat. Off you go. Go to a right to work state. And when all of a sudden your paycheck is cut by a third, at least a third, and you're having to work twice as hard as you're already doing, then you can sit there and tell us how bad things are here. I didn't want paid family leave. That's commie stuff. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. So I am gotta admit, I'm somewhat stunned by Racket magazine, the online magazine here in town. That if you're not thinking, basically it's the guys from City Pages that they went on out and they did their they've done their own online news place here. RacketMN.com. I do recommend it, but this one is a little bit of a surprise. And to a point, I think this is clickbait. I really do. I think this is just clickbait. The headline, it's an essay. Door County, Wisconsin is a far better vacation spot than the North Shore. Goats, cherries, and implanted memories is better than icy highway adjacent water. Okay. This is by Ian Power Lutscher, Luetschcher. All right. That's the guy. And I'm going to just, all right. There's nothing wrong with, I'll tell you what, I'll save that for later. Let me read from the article here. I can hear y'all now. You're saying, no, Ian, I did summertime stuff. Me and my partner went to the North Shore for a night. We found a beach in the city, splashed around one of those stagnant cesspools we call lakes. Well, that's not going to cut it, my darlings. That's not enough. That's not a vacation. I know I'm being a bully, but it's the kind of tough love you need sometimes. I need to force you to go on a real vacation. Door County is the answer to our prayers. Repeat after me. It's time for us to go to Door County. You need to swim in Lake Michigan. Lake Superior is nice, but it's cold and stupid. You need to go to a beach, a real beach, a Lake Michigan beach, not the dirt surrounded I can't read that word because it's dirty, ponds of the metro area. No, those are gross. We don't count. Somebody put a porta potty in there. That's bad. Myth. North Shore is better than Door County because it's closer. In fact, the North Shore is a boring place, and only rich people from LA buying their climate change homesteads live there now. Betty's Pies is outright bad. Sven and Oli's Pizza is barely okay. Gooseberry Falls State Park smells weird. Oh, also the drive to Door County is kind of long, so you need. I'll tell you what. I'll come back to that line here in a second. So this is not a, hey, here are some quirky charms of Door County. The main point of this article doesn't seem to be the promotion of Door County. It seems to be to badmouth the North Shore. Now, conservatives, I'm about to show you some consistency here. How dare you? Okay. How dare you ridicule the North Shore? Now, let's talk about vacations. I've had 3 atrocious vacations in my life, really bad ones. The worst one was in Duluth. When my kids were young, there's a water park up there kind of towards the end of Superior Street up by where the interstate ends. Holy God, was that place a nightmare. We went up there with our kids. We're thinking it's going to be fun. The guy as we were getting ready to check in, the guy in front of us was complaining because there was blood in the sink of his hotel room that he had just checked into. Nice. And it's a water park hotel thing. It's a weekend getaway from the kids. You take the kids up there, they go swimming in the endless river, do a few of the water slides, that sort of thing. The main point of that place seemed to be to allow parents to go into the Tiki Bar Cabana Bar and just get sloshed. They would drop their kids off at the water park, head on in there, buy cheap drinks with cheap alcohol, and just get schnockered. That's what I saw. Wasn't a big fan. And it was just the whole experience was horrible. We were staying in the hotel room. The kids were running up and down the halls of the hotel up until like 1 o'clock in the morning. And it was only when we called up the front desk and said, I'll tell you what, we're going to check out. He said, no, we'll send the security guy up there to take care of things. I said, what? I can't believe that person wasn't there already. It was bad. It's not the worst. The second worst was Myrtle Beach. And Myrtle Beach and the worst is Panama City, Florida. I did both of those a long time ago, and both of them are just... Myrtle Beach is interesting. It's on the north side of South Carolina. If you go kind of northern up on the shore there, that's why it was such a surprise to me when I went to Beaufort, South Carolina, and down by Hilton Head. And it's spectacular. It's actually one of the nicest vacation spots I've ever been. Myrtle Beach is once again a party beach for people that want to get drunk and have fun, sort of thing. That's fine. Panama City Beach is even worse. It really is bad down there. You get up in the morning in Panama City and you walk out the door and it looks like an apocalypse has happened. Like there's a pair of pants over here on the one street. There's a burnt out car over here. You don't quite know what happened. You see people just sleeping in alleys and stuff like that. Just delightful. Hey, but the beach is right there. So those are my 3 worst. I mean, I imagine a lot of people have had bad ones. Sometimes it's bad just because circumstance makes them bad. These were bad just because the destination wasn't great. Now, I have no doubt people have gone to that water park, have gone to Myrtle Beach, and gone to Panama City and had a fantastic time. To each their own. I went to Door County a long time ago. It's got some definitely nice quirks. The cherries out there are absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. Someone mentioned the cherry pie. Yeah, the cherry pie out there is really good. Michigan is a very pretty lake. You get these swaths and stretch of it with this deep blue in there, like it's almost like the tropics, and gorgeous sand. It's a very nice lake. Substantially warmer than Lake Superior, but it is further south. But it is nice. And there's a cutesy quirkiness to it. I did not do the boiled dinner. Did you ever do, Patrick? Did you ever do a boiled dinner out in Door County?
I don't believe I did, no.
Everyone says it's fantastic. I did not get the chance to try it. I have no doubt it sounds fantastic. I saw there was a write-up in Midwest Living magazine about that about a year ago, and it looked really good. And so, no, that looks pretty good. I've also had that in other places too. Door County was nice. It's not this obscene mecca that this guy writing for the Racket tries to make it out to be. Now, you, Patrick, have been to Door County a few times or one time?
It was just one time I was there.
And you had a very good time.
I enjoyed it. When I got there was a circumstance I learned about unrelated to Door County that made it tough to enjoy the rest of my time there, but it was a nice spot. I'd go back there and check it out again.
Did it have to do with the Green Bay Packers?
Unfortunately, a little less exciting than that.
Okay. Well, I have been to the North Shore multiple times. It's stunningly pretty up there. This idea, as how did he describe it, is icy highway adjacent water. Okay. And also this idea that the only people that are buying property up there are these LA people trying to get away from climate change. I don't quite know what that's about. I know that there was a story in the New York Times that there is a lot of people that have been moving up to Duluth that have driven up the housing prices up there. Which is great. I mean, that's is this a bad thing? I mean, people are moving to Duluth again. This is a great thing. And there's a lot more restaurants and culture and good things there. That's a win-win across the board. I don't think that that's a problem. But I'm not, there are people that have bought cabins or bought townhomes or bought vacation properties all along the North Shore. I mean, that's just a common thing. It's a different vibe, really. Now, Patrick, here's where I want to give you credit, because when I posted this story, you said, in my limited experience, I like Door, but by its nature, it becomes very difficult to get away from crowds. Sure, the North Shore has its own busy spots, but you don't have to go far to find your own space. That was absolutely well stated, because I think that that's exactly what it is.
That's exactly, I think, what it is. Because if you're not familiar with Door County, lots of cute, picturesque little towns.
Yes.
But you kind of drive through them, and it's just, there's nowhere for people to go because it's a peninsula.
It is. And these towns are somewhat repetitive. There's the cutesy little restaurant that has the cherry pie. There might have a little mini golf thing or something like this. It's very touristy. But that's the North Shore too. It's very touristy. There's a lot there. Here's the difference. And like I said, this is where you picked up on it. Door County seemed to me, when I was there, the main focus seemed to be drinking. And I'm not saying excessive drinking. I'm not talking like the water park in Duluth or in Myrtle Beach or Panama City, but it was Wisconsin drinking. It was, you went to the dinner club and you sat there and had drinks, and then you went and sat by the fire pit and then you had drinks, and that was it. And it might not have been as deliberate or intentional as the water park where, come, parents, drop off your kids and go get sloshed. It wasn't like that, but it was quite a bit. I mean, and to a point where, as you said, the crowds kind of get obnoxious, especially the later into the evening. You got lots of the drunk guy running around Door County. And frankly, I have not much patience when I'm sitting in my hotel room and there's some guy singing freaking Bob Seger songs, insanely out of tune, outside my window, drunk as a skunk. And I mean, it's like crickets up there. That's like the drunks are like the crickets up in Door County. And you get a lot of that up there. And it doesn't mean they're not having fun. Of course they're having fun. Hopefully they're not driving a boat or a car for that matter. But it seemed to me when you were there, the main focus of it was social drinking. And sure, they have the cutesy little gift shop, or they have the wood carving of Paul Bunyan, or they've got cherry pie or a fish boil, but they also had drinks. Drinks. That was kind of the thing. The North Shore has some of that too. As a matter of fact, I would make an argument. Multiple towns along the North Shore are very much like that. But you also have, as Patrick pointed out, you can find your own space. There are plenty of places to go up on the North Shore where you can go hiking and you can kind of lose yourself. And there's even places on shore. There are multiple times I was on a shore on Lake Superior where it was, there was other people out there, but it wasn't like it was packed and it wasn't like everyone was drunk as a skunk. And that was nice. That was really nice. It doesn't mean Door County's bad. I'd make an argument, my experience, it's not this, it's not substantially better than the North Shore, nor as I say it is even better than the North Shore. I think the North Shore is better, personally, because I'm not looking for vacation spots where the whole point of it seems to be drinkity time, drink. And that's a lot of it. And Patrick, did you see that too when you were there?
I didn't notice the drinking part as much as you did, but again, I was only there for one night, so.
No. It's cutesy, it's touristy, but it's like I said, it was a lot of families where mom and dad want to have drinks that night, or a lot of single people, the older single people too. I noticed that too. People that are 35, 40 years old that were single. So, doesn't mean it wasn't fun. There was some cutesiness to it, but it wasn't this all out thing. Now, I'm defending the North Shore. I'm defending rural Minnesota. I'm defending it because, no, I'm not going to buy this bull. But there's a little hitch to this story, which I have to actually call out Racket on this. I'll get to that in a second, but there's a line in the story here that I want to read when I come back that basically says, kind of puts this whole thing. It's like, why are you doing this? Why did you publish this essay? Because it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense once I read that line I was going to read earlier, but I decided to hold off on. I'll get to that in a second. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950. You hear a lot about Rudy Luther Toyota's hybrid cars, but maybe you're asking yourself, are they worth it? Let me say from experience, absolutely. I have a Toyota Sienna hybrid, and the proof is in the gas tank. Before my hybrid, I was filling up my tank once a week. Now it's consistently every 2 weeks. I did the math, and my hybrid is saving me over $1,000 every year. And the Toyota hybrids are some of the most stylish and comfortable vehicles you'll ever drive. Now's the time to get a Toyota hybrid. Set up a time to test drive one today at Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. Allow me to give you a couple of the most important cleaning tips that you need to know. Vacuuming is not sufficient to maintain the cleanliness and lifespan of your carpet, period. My friends at Zero Res use their platinum-rated cleaning system that safely and effectively removes all that deeply embedded nasty dirt, dander, and bacteria. Not only does the patented Zero Res process clean better than anything on the market, surfaces dry faster, and your home and business will stay cleaner longer, guaranteed. July is National Carpet Cleaning Month, and because of that, check out this amazing deal Zero Res has going. Zero Res is offering 3 rooms starting at just $129 and get a 4th room free. It's also the perfect time of year to get your air ducts cleaned this month and take 20% off any air duct cleaning. Call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. That's Zero Res.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or ArrayInsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
Located just north of 50th in France, the Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, they offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include hot and sour soup, pan-fried dumplings, and mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Stop by their Edina location or call for takeout at 952-927-4439. See the full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. The author of this article, the bad mouthing the North Shore and bad mouthing Minneapolis, like Minneapolis St. Paul Lakes, it seems like the main point of this article is, hey, we had a point where goats were on the roofs of a house eating the grass that was growing on the roof. Isn't it cool? It's quirky. I'll raise you a spam museum down in Austin. That's pretty good. And here's the thing is, of all the photos that he puts out here, I can go anywhere in the state of Minnesota and find one or two things like this in every town. Quirky little shops, antiques, cute little microbreweries, restaurants, stuff like that. That's everywhere now. Sure, maybe the town's less than 100 people or less than 1,000 people are a little bit sparse, but you can go find stuff out there. And it's nice. This is not something that's exclusive to Door County per se. So, and like I said, there's in the photos he has with the article. If you look through the photos in the article in the Racket magazine, at Racket Online, racketmn.com, is that they look like basically photos they're taken from the North Shore. If you want to know the truth, it looks like photos you'd find on the North Shore. There's one specific line. Also, the drive to Door County is kind of long, so go to the bathroom before you leave. First, you have to drive to Green Bay, where the writer is from, and that takes 4.5 hours. Okay, all right, time. So the guy's from Green Bay. His family goes up and spends their time at Door County. That's great. That's where he's got his family memories. That's where it is. Like I said, top-notch cherry pie. Lake Michigan is quite pretty. Got to try the fish boil the next time I get up there. No problem. I get it. There's nothing wrong with Racket putting out an article that says, I'm from Door County. Let me introduce you to the Door County I know. Fine. As a matter of fact, I think that would go a long way. But like I said, the main point of this article seems to not to be promoting Door County, although it's a lot of the article. It seems to get these petty swipes at the North Shore and the state of Minnesota from a guy from Green Bay. Come on. First of all, screw you, dude. I mean, if I can be if I can quote Abraham Lincoln, screw you. I shouldn't be quoting Abraham Lincoln, but you get the point. I'm sorry you don't like the North Shore. A lot of people do. A lot of people in Minnesota do. And I think you're thinking you got your shot in, buddy. You got him. I got my zinger in. Got him. Yeah, we think you're a jackass. It just, you don't have to be a jackass to promote your Door County. And once again, I think Door County is fine. It's not my cup of tea because, like I said, it's drinkity, drink. Not as bad as Myrtle Beach, Panama City, or the water park in Duluth, but still, it's a lot of it. Whereas on the North Shore, there's that stuff. Oh, undoubtedly, there's that stuff. You go into any of the towns, there is that stuff. But there's also a lot of quiet spaces and beautiful natural areas where you can go enjoy those waterfalls. It's just great. I'm stunned Racket MN would publish this, being as harsh on the state, because I can guarantee you this. Maybe they've got some big ad deal going with the Door County people, that they're going to spend a bunch of money in Racket advertising, come to Door County. Maybe that's the case. I can tell you who's not going to be advertising: anyone from the North Shore. And I think that you've kind of burned that bridge pretty bad. You don't have to be a jerk. And this is no different than what I started the show off with, where Minnesota ranks number 4 in the nation. No, it doesn't. Don't be a jerk. I like Door County, and let me tell you how much better it is than the North Shore. Don't be a jerk, man. You like Door County. I'm not going to take that away from you. I'm not saying that's invalid. I'm not saying you can't. But I'm going to have a little bit of a problem with you, which seems to be the main point of your argument, is taking some pretty vicious swipes at my state. And if you don't like it here, well, get the F out, man. That's just that. I'm like I said, I'm stunned Racket would publish this as is just to allow him to take swipe after swipe after this. But, you know, this is the kind of article that does more damage to an outlet than helps, because if he was trying for Gen Z quirkiness, he came out with self-righteous jackassery. And that's not a good sell. Hour 2, that's coming up next.
Hello, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Now my show will be on Saturdays from 10 to 11 and replayed on Sundays from 1 to 2. You will get to the best of Ellie 2.0 with talking about idealism, with guests who come in and who are idealistic, who are trying to change the world, and you will get me, Super Idealist. Tune in. We can't wait to hear from you, and you'll hear from me Saturdays from 10 to 11.
I'm Candy Brothel. I'm Elizabeth Sullivan. And I'm Kelly Wagner. Energize yourself with AM 950's Sunday Shine Radio from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Sunday Shine Radio radiates wellness, consciousness, and curiosity.
Join me, Candy Brothel, for Green Tea Conversations at 10 a.m. Exploring Sovereignty with Elizabeth at 11 a.m.
And the Being Curious Show at noon.
Our lineup focuses on igniting your own self-discovery and personal wellness. Tune in every Sunday for Sunday Shine Radio from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
And let us guide you on an inspirational journey each week.
Come on, you know it's true. Work is almost bearable when the Stephanie Miller Show is on. AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Ed Donahue. The State Department says Trevor Reed, a former Marine who was released from Russia in a prisoner swap last year, has been injured while fighting in Ukraine. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says Reed was not fighting on behalf of the U.S.
Since the beginning of the war, we've been very clear. We have warned that U.S. citizens who travel to Ukraine, especially with the purpose of participating in fighting there, that they face significant risk.
Reed was released from Russian custody in a prisoner swap last year in exchange for a Russian pilot imprisoned in the U.S. for a drug trafficking conspiracy. A potentially crippling strike has been averted. Union workers and UPS have reached a tentative deal. The Teamsters call the agreement historic. Kansas City resident and UPS customer Travis Minner applauds the deal.
Whatever the UPS people are rooting for, they need to get it, because it's very important that if they are doing delivery, if they are doing great customer service, they deserve the pay that they want.
Voting on the new UPS contract begins August 3rd. Stocks finished higher on Wall Street, the Dow up 26 points. The Conference Board says consumer confidence shot to the highest level in 2 years this month as inflationary pressures eased. A federal judge blocked a rule that allows immigration authorities to deny asylum to migrants who arrive at the border without first applying online or seeking protection in a country they pass through. His family says Bronny James, the oldest son of NBA superstar LeBron James, is in a Los Angeles hospital in stable condition a day after going into cardiac arrest while taking part in a practice at the University of Southern California. Republican presidential contender Ron DeSantis is cutting far more campaign staff than previously thought as he works to reset his stumbling campaign amid unexpected financial trouble. This is AP News.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Retired or retiring soon? How much money do you need to live comfortably? Retirement Planners of America is here for you. Would you like to have financial peace of mind? Here's how. Step 1. find out the amount of money you'll need to retire. Step 2, have a plan to get there. Step 3, make sure that plan can take advantage of market gains but protect you from market losses. Discover how to do all 3 with a free consultation at 800-508-6108. That's 800-508-6108.
All investments involve risk, including losses. Past performance does not guarantee future.
The Merity family of companies serves seniors and people with a wide range of disabilities. We provide home health care, hospice services, and accessible rental housing. This is Mary T, and we'd like you to join us. We're hiring direct care professionals, CNAs, nurses, and other support services. Our mission is to provide quality, personalized services to meet the unique and evolving needs of the people that we serve. Join a Minnesota family-owned company that was founded on a history of care. Apply today at marytinc.com/careers.
The Powderhorn Art Fair is returning to Powderhorn Park to celebrate its 32nd anniversary, August 5th and 6th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day. The fair will feature a vibrant and diverse selection of art from over 150 exhibiting artists from across the country. Whether you're just starting an art collection or a seasoned buyer, they'll have the perfect piece for you. Plus, there's more. Immersive art installations offer fairgoers a chance to explore interactive experiences that transport them into an artist's vision. In addition to all the fantastic art, over a dozen food vendors serving up sweet and savory delights will be ready for you and other hungry fairgoers. A family zone will offer creative activities for kids of all ages and entertainment each day. The fair and activities are free to attendees. Make plans to head to Powderhorn Park on August 5th and 6th. Learn more at powderhornartfair.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 95. Tonight, showers and storms with a low around 71. And Wednesday, sunny with a high near 96. Come visit the award-winning Hazel's Northeast in Minneapolis for breakfast, lunch, dinner, or weekend brunch. For breakfast, try the slow-cooked brisket hash, hippie cakes, and meat waffle. While for lunch, enjoy favorites like the veggie burger or beet salad. Located off 29th and Johnson and at hazelsnetogo.com.
Portions of this show may be pre-recorded. I don't know. Am I pre-recorded? No, I'm not. I'm here. No, I am here. It is the Matt McNeil Show, not a hologram. Brett here, Patrick here as well. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Did you hear about the Door County, this thing, the guy from the racket that basically beating up on northern Minnesota and Minneapolis, St. Paul because Door County is just the best place ever?
I heard that headline. I figured that might get your attention a little bit, being a man who very much loves going up to the Iron Range, northeastern Minnesota.
Going up to the shore. Well, no, I love the state, and it's not just Minneapolis, St. Paul. This state, even the most red districts of the state, I've gone down there and like, oh, this is cute, this is fun. I've been down there and just and had a good time. I mean, it's not something where I look at the political filter to determine whether or not I'm going to like something. Once again, Door County's not there, but it's like Galena, Illinois. Have you ever been down to Galena?
I have not, no.
It's kind of up in the area of Iowa, Wisconsin down there. It's got some, quirky historical significance and stuff like this, and a lot of antique stores. And it's like people are like, go to Galena. It's like, well, it's nice. Do I want to spend a week in Galena? No, not really. I don't know if I want to spend a week in Door County. Patrick, how long did you spend in Door County? Do you remember?
I was only actually there for an evening and a little bit into the afternoon the next day.
All righty. It's nothing against Door County. It always gets good write-ups and stuff like this, but people's like, would you rather go to Door County or Chicago? Well, it's a different kind of vacation. Chicago still has a lot of good press. It's really good. Minneapolis, St. Paul's got some good press. The North Shore. How often do you go up to the North Shore?
Not that often, actually, to be honest. I haven't been up there in quite some time, but
Duluth, I know you've been to Duluth, though.
I've been to Duluth a few times, but I haven't really gotten up in the North Shore area or much outside. But I know it's certainly a beautiful area, and I would probably take that over the Wisconsin County for sure.
Once you get past the lift bridge, no matter where you are in Duluth, you're on the North Shore at that point. It's like once you get past, I've looked at a map. Once you get past the lift bridge, you're on the North Shore.
I got yelled at years and years ago for including Duluth as part of the Iron Range, so I got to be careful with.
No, I'll take you down for that. What are you doing? It's like when someone said Bemidji was part of the Iron Range. I said, well, no, not even close. What's the worst vacation you've ever had?
Oh man, the worst one.
Yes,
I'd have to think about this for a second. The worst one. If I'm going way back, we went to Sanibel Island, I think my sophomore or junior year in high school, and it was just raining all the time.
That's
and
off of Florida?
Yeah, off
okay.
of Florida. Yeah, actually got hit hard by the hurricane last year, so a lot of it's not there anymore. But yeah, there just wasn't a lot to do. It was not the greatest hotel, so yeah, Florida's not my top place to go for vacations.
Florida is really, if you pay the money, it's like Vegas. If you pay the money, you're going to get that really high-end experience. But here's the thing I'll say about Vegas, because Vegas is, manufactured entertainment for people with regret. But still, at the same time, even if you're going cheap, you can still have a pretty good time in Vegas. You're just walking around the casinos is a hoot. It's play a few games and go out and do, you stay at the hotels. You get to go see all the fountain shows and stuff like that. That is kind of fun. That's that Florida. So you said it's like you get some of those hotels down there, and it's just kind of there it is, and the beach is 5 blocks that way, and there's no place to park over there, so you got to walk over. Like, great.
Yeah, it was just one of those things too, where it was supposed to be one of those upscale kind of hotels. We had a big neighborhood group down there, and the pool was just nasty, and that was kind of the first sign that we might not be in the best area.
I think that. Yeah, I like I said, I don't have any problem. Door County sounds fine. I don't have a problem with Wisconsin. Green Bay, I'm not a Green Bay Packers fan, and it's just that's the town. I mean, that's permeated within the structure of the town. I'm not going to discourage anyone from going, especially a Green Bay Packer fan. For God's sakes, that's Mecca. That's your Mecca. And then I guess Inver Grove Heights. If you're a Vikings fan, you want to go to Inver Grove Heights, the majesty and splendor. Imagine that there, but. I don't know why you're sitting there if you have to badmouth a community to try to make your community look good, then you've already lost. And this is not really about promoting Door County. It's about basically trying to take a swipe or get out some personal bad feelings there. When you have gone up to the North Shore, what was where have you gone? Grand Marais is lovely. I love going to Grand Marais.
I've not been to Grand Marais. I've certainly been around downtown Duluth. Yeah, I can't think of many specific sites, to be honest. I've been up there not that many times.
Have you done any of the waterfall hikes?
I have not, no.
I've done a few of those, and those are pretty spectacular. And that's one of the nice things about the North Shore is that you get those waterfalls pouring in there. The lake is cool. That's a bit of a brisk one.
Yeah, I didn't go in the lake.
You don't. I have gone swimming.
Oh, you actually did?
I've gone swimming in Lake Superior.
I hope like in July.
Well, yeah, no, it's not like carving out
like
a
October. Yeah.
Well, no, you want to go in late August because it's been warmed up then.
I guess that makes sense. Yeah, maybe that would be a good time.
It does get a little chilly. I will give that. Michigan. Have you ever been around Lake Michigan?
I have. Yeah. Not been in it though.
That's a pretty lake. Lake Michigan. Well, once you get north of the southern part, the urban areas where, hey, is that a corpse? That's you get those good fishing, but no, it's you don't want to know what you want to go north. You want to go north. I was up on the UP, the southern UP side of it, and there were some stretches there where it was hard to even comprehend this was a Great Lake. It's just this aqua blue water, like it's the tropics. And I'm like, this is insane and very pretty, but that's actually more like the North Shore than anything I've seen. So no, I do like traveling. So how much, completely different question for you. You remember when NFTs came out?
Oh yes.
The non-fungible tokens. These were basically pictures. It'd be like if you went Control-Alt-4 on an iMac and you got a screen grab, and it's a screen grab anyone could pull up at any time, but you were going to sell that screen grab as an original, and people were making money off that. Did you ever partake in the non-fungible token element of things?
I was going to set one up for the show, actually, and didn't have any. No, I have not. I have not participated in the NFT market, and I'm with you. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's like an image, as you said. You can just screen cap. Maybe it's like the whole thing. People who collect, I need to get it in mint condition or in the box. Well, no one else can tell the difference, so I'm not sure.
I did not get into this because I said, "Wow, that's really stupid." The non-fungible token. This is from our good friend Bill Corbett. He's posted this. The Jack Dorsey's first tweet, that non-fungible token of that one, sold originally for $2.9 million. Take a guess at what the value of that is today. 2.9 million, the non-fungible token of Jack Dorsey's first tweet.
I'll I'll guess a range. Is it below 7 figures at this point?
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's
How
just,
about,
it's
are we
just a smidge.
Are we even in the 5 figures?
No.
Okay. But it's lost quite a bit of value. All right, I'll go 275.
How about you go with the figure?
Yeah.
One figure.
Oh, really? Okay.
$4 whole.
Oh, I thought you were saying it was like 6 figures. Oh, that's a substantial drop.
No, that's not
$4.
$4. $4 whole. This is at the same time, there's been Fox News is getting a lot of crud because there are people, you know how they advertise those gold coins?
Yes.
Because the apocalypse is coming, so you really want to roam around the world with a bag of gold.
This is the first edition collector's version. You order them in the next 30 minutes and you'll get a buy one, get one.
So the guys have been paying attention to the gold coin thing. They said that they went and looked at conservative. They're all over the conservative media. All over OAN and Newsmax and Fox News. It's all there.
Didn't Trump himself set up one of those too?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
There's not one running on what would be considered the neutral media or the left-leaning media. They don't even try to sell them to people who are not dupes. One guy spends $175,000 on these gold coins, and they're worth really about $70,000. And he did not know that the company, this is going to be hard to believe, the company that advertises on Fox News wasn't really honest about how much their commission was, which was 1/3 of the cost. So basically, the only way this guy's going to make his money back is if the nuclear apocalypse does come, and all of a sudden that gold coin makes him, I guess, the Duke of Bemidji, and he's basically the Grand Imperial, commander of Bemidji. And he's there because he has the shiny coin thing that apparently people used to worship. That's the only way you can do it. There's all these things out there that are designed, like crypto. I'm not going to do crypto. You read crypto, it looks like a Ponzi scheme. The financial thing is a Ponzi scheme, and all these crypto companies keep failing like they're a Ponzi scheme. And people say, you should get into crypto. No.
Well, and they're not like antiques that are going to perhaps get more value as time goes on. That doesn't appear to be the case with non-fungible tokens or crypto. As you said, they are going to,
or the gold coins,
or the gold coins too. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Give me what actors? I mean, is it Tom Selleck doing that one? Is that it? I'm Tom Selleck, and do you just have cash running around? When the nuclear apocalypse comes and the neighbors start eating their kids, you're going to want gold because that's going to, there's nothing safer than an elderly man walking through the streets with a bag of gold in his hands.
I think that might be more of like a James Woods kind of thing. I'm trying to think of old right-wing actors that are sort of relevant.
John
but not
Voight.
Really.
John Voight.
Yeah.
Or the guy from the coach of the Minnesota State team. What was his name?
Oh, Craig T. Nelson.
Craig T. Nelson. I'm Craig T. Nelson, and I'm here to. Hey, do you need your house? You can sign it away for $20, and we'll own it. You need $20. $20 can get you some Funyuns and you. Sure. There's a reason why they advertise this stuff en masse on Fox, because they're fools on that network, and they do not advertise most of the other stuff anywhere else. When it was the crypto, it was Matt Damon who was saying, success favors the bold, or whatever it was before that crypto market completely collapsed. Like jumping off a cliff without a chute. The bold. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. You do not get to talk to Patrick Cooligan today. Who are we chatting with?
We are speaking with Walker Orenstein. By the way, the interview brought to you by cryptocurrency.
Is it by? No, it's brought to you by Matt McNeil's Gold Coins.
Collector's edition, the 2010 original edition from his first show.
It's an NFT of my very first tweet, and it's only $5 million.
It will.
The guy paid $2.9 million for it. It's worth four whole dollars.
That's some nasty depreciation, that's for sure.
I just keep expecting like the Antique Roadshow thing to come on out. Bought, worth $2.9 million, updated score $4. It's like they do the update on the cost. It's gone down. Anyway, what's Walker up to?
Yeah, so today with Walker Orenstein, we are talking about rural broadband and money that is going to be coming to the state of Minnesota. And we mainly focused on this because I kind of got into this reading through his article where he talked about how a few years ago we had tried to award some broadband money throughout the state of Minnesota, and it ended up going to this one company, which basically was not able to deliver broadband because they were, well, A, too small, and B, didn't have a lot of experience with fiber optic wiring. So we're going to be talking about that and how we're hopefully not going to run into that same debacle a few years ago and how all of this money is going to get doled out.
I don't know if am I correct when I say that wasn't that company kind of like Republicans were pushing for this company to get that this company needed to be the one to take the money? I believe it was.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that. I know the company was called LTD, and talking with Walker too, apparently they were all over the country too. It wasn't just Minnesota, and the
So
FCC ended up canceling basically all of their contracts.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of money was lost from that. So
Wow.
hopefully we don't have the same thing happen this time.
It's Walker Orenstein joining Brett right here on AM 950.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Brett Johnson with you here on a Tuesday afternoon. And today we're joined by Walker Orenstein of MinnPost as we are going to be talking about rural broadband expansion in Minnesota. Because at least this, for me, this is an issue I have been following for a while, probably well over a decade. I remember starting to follow this back in like 2011 and 2012. And I remember even back then, so many Minnesotans were talking about how we need to expand broadband to everywhere in Minnesota and especially rural areas. Well, lo and behold, thanks to the recent federal infrastructure bill, that could possibly become a reality in Minnesota, but the emphasis on possibly. So joining us now to talk about that is Walker Orenstein of MinnPost as he joins us now. Hey, Walker, how you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So this idea of rural broadband, this caught my idea here in Minnesota and also at my first ever radio job in a small town of Atlantic, Iowa, because that was one of the areas that also really lacked having high-speed internet. But like I said, part of this infrastructure bill does include $42 billion to help with rural broadband access across the country, but we do have a lot of questions as to when that money could arrive and who's going to be able to access it and what types of speeds Minnesotans who are currently underserved by internet access might be.
Rocky task, I find. Seems like it always takes a while. There's, people get to challenge here or there. Oh, we have broadband service there, so you can't put subsidies in, so we don't double up. It's a kind of a complicated endeavor. So eventually they finished the mapping and they came out with, final numbers for how much every state would get. Minnesota is in line for $652 million, which is a pretty darn big amount. It's enormous in the scale of the types of broadband investment Minnesota has seen in the past, both from the federal government and from state lawmakers. It's kind of, a little more middle of the pack nationally, number 29 nationally, proportionally less compared to our population. I think part of that is just simply that we are a little bit better in our current state of broadband than other places. And so, but it is still a whopping amount of money, I would say. And the money will flow through Minnesota's Office of Broadband Development. So it's an existing program at DEED, the Department of Employment and Economic Development here in Minnesota. And they have, I guess, a long history of spending broadband grants in Minnesota, especially using state dollars. And there's a broadband task force that sort of informs the state's work, but this is basically almost like a sub-agency within DEED that's pretty focused on this. So they tend to know what they're doing in terms of handing out broadband money. And I think for a lot of people in Minnesota, they were happy to see, and in fact breathed a sigh of relief, that state officials with Office of Broadband Development would be the ones, there's, handling the money. There are definitely federal kind of rules and guidelines around, where the money might go or in what types of ways. But generally speaking, it's the state officials who, have the hand on the steering wheel.
Well, this is not the first time that the state has received a large influx of cash to try to help with expanding broadband to make it more universal. As a few years ago, we actually got, I believe, $400 million for rural broadband, but things didn't go so well back then. And in fact, this is something you wrote about with this small company called LTD that was supposed to develop rural broadband across Minnesota. But unfortunately, for them, they had some problems with the fact that they were a smaller company and they didn't have a lot of experience dealing with wired internet. They were mostly kind of a wireless company. So this was interesting to read about because you linked to the article you wrote a few years ago talking about some of the potential problems with LTD. So I'm wondering if there's any concerns with this right now of what Minnesota is going to be doing to try to make sure they don't have the same thing happen this year that happened with LTD a few years ago when we received a large influx of broadband cash and then things unfortunately didn't quite go so well, where even the FCC revoked some of that money that was supposed to go to LTD.
Yeah, absolutely. Of the $400+ million that was kind of earmarked for Minnesota, this was under a different program, the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. It's run through the FCC. But they decided to spend all this money in Minnesota. 311 million of it was going to go to LTD broadband. And LTD basically got that award through what's called a reverse auction system. And the way they run those is, you as a company or a developer will bid on, a census tract or an area of Minnesota and say, I can serve this area with this amount of government subsidy. And someone else can bid lower than you and say, I can serve this area with even less amount of government subsidy. And so the idea behind it is it's supposed to save taxpayer money, kind of stretch dollars into providing service and getting people in a competition where they can say, I'll serve more with less, essentially. But kind of what happened in this instance is this pretty small company, with a little experience in this fiber optic cable, as you mentioned, won all these awards, and they won a ton nationally, all across the country, I think upwards of $1 billion. And in a lot of states, they've since been basically booted from having that money. They came under state investigation here. Eventually, its awards in Minnesota were revoked by the FCC, and if I remember, revoked everywhere across the country. And the company has always maintained that it could do this work, but state officials, federal officials, they just weren't sold on the idea that they actually had the ability to deliver on this. And so the problem there is, one, that money is in limbo. It's not necessarily just coming right back to Minnesota. But two, in the meantime, we've spent years, investigating and working on this, looking at their finances, all this stuff, and all of that just serves to delay here. So I guess there's a few key differences with this current program. So the new one, as I mentioned, it runs through the state officials, and the state officials have done this broadband grant program of their own for a long time. So they have a better sense, a lot of people in this world feel, of who can actually do the job and who can't do the job. And that's not necessarily like they just hand out the money to like, hey, I like you, here's the money, right? But it's not the sort of reverse auction system necessarily. It doesn't seem like that will be a major part of this kind of handing out of the money. So state officials have a hand on it. And I will just say that there's also some clawback safeguards in the law that are meant to sort of, yank back the money. LTD case, that money wasn't lost into the ether either. It's not like they spent it. But nevertheless, like Senator Amy Klobuchar said, that she was kind of worried by this LTD experience. And so she wanted some legislation to, account for that and worry about people who overpromise and underdeliver.
I'm curious about this too, just focusing on some of the companies that might be helping build this rural broadband, because oftentimes when people might be reading this in the news, all right, well, Minnesota's getting X amount of money, and it'll be the government that goes out and builds this rural broadband. And as we've been talking about, that's really not the case. It's some of these private companies that get a chance. Do we know what types of private companies might be getting the money coming up in the future? Would this be bigger companies, like a cable company like Comcast, or maybe someone like CenturyLink, or is this kind of a mix of big companies and small companies? I'm kind of curious about that part too.
Yeah, hard to say this far ahead of time. I think it's a competitive grant program, and so it is really, we just won't know until we know, right? But I think it's likely. I mean, just having watched this and how the state hands out grants for years, it's probably likely that it'll be a mix of a certain amount of things. Like, it's possible that someone wins the most amount by a good margin or something like that, but I think it'll be a mix. And so when I say mix, it's everything from a CenturyLink, maybe a Comcast. I don't see them as much in this space usually, as they're kind of in the more of the metro area, generally speaking. But CenturyLink, there are a lot of like rural electric cooperatives that do this type of work. Arrowhead Electric, Paul Bunyan. There are a bunch of that sort of stuff. There are a lot of smaller telecom companies that do this kind of work and will bite off, pieces here and there. These projects are usually kind of done often in conjunction with local officials and with the state broadband dollars in the past. And so you might get help from a county that pitches in some money and works with a developer that they know. So it really can be all sorts of a mix. I'm trying to think of some other companies to name, but you kind of get the idea. There's a range of everything from small to mid-sized companies and even rural electric cooperatives. So like I said, don't know who's going to get the money, but those kind of folks will likely be in the mix.
So when can Minnesota expect to get our share of that federal money, and when can we kind of expect some of this work to be getting done? Because as I understand it, it could be a few more years before we start seeing some real tangible impacts from this money that's going to be invested.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the broadband money was actually approved by the federal government 2 years ago, right? But then we've got to do the mapping. We've got to do all this sort of step-by-step process. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of logistics. There's a lot of delay. And so right now, even the state has to write plans for how they're going to use the money, have it approved by the federal government. So Bree Mackey, who is director of the Office of Broadband Development, told us it's safe to assume federal dollars won't actually be in the ground until 2025. So it still could be a little while. She described that as a conservative estimate. It's kind of possible there's maybe a little bit earlier, and then, it kind of comes over time. And certainly I don't think the state will be able to say they even got all that money in one go. Here's all the cash. There's no way. I don't think that they could sort of deploy it all in 1 year. This stuff, there's only a certain amount of companies, there's only a certain amount of workers, there's only a certain amount of supplies. And so even in the past, when state lawmakers have been approving money for broadband, they've debated how much money could we even put in a 2-year time span. So I think it's safe to say it'll be spent over the course of a few years. And one notable thing about that is we've got some broadband speed goals for 2026 that are set in state law. They're just goals, but they do guide Minnesota sort of how we act and how we spend and how we kind of dole out grants and things like that. And so this federal money, though again, ton of money, will not really arrive in time. And there's some other complications, but they won't really arrive in time to help us meet that goal. I mean, it may help us meet that goal, but we aren't in line currently to meet that goal for universal access by 2026 to the state's broadband speed goals.
Well, there's another interesting aspect that goes into this, too, that you had a chance to write about in your article, why Minnesota is unlikely to meet its broadband expansion goals on time despite an influx of federal cash. Make sure you find that over at minpost.com. And that's the fact that the federal government and the state government here in Minnesota have different definitions of high-speed internet. So let's talk about how they are different and what that could mean for possibly doling out that money.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a little bit complicated in regulatory talk here, but Minnesota has 2 speed goals in state law, and one of them was for internet speeds with it's 25 by 3 is how they refer to it. It's like upload speeds of 25 megabits per second, download speeds of 3 megabits per second by 2024. And I may have flipped that, actually. I think it's download speeds of 25. But anyway, you get the point. So We missed that goal. It was actually 2022. I'm sorry, I'm mixing things up. But anyway, we had a lower speed goal, and now we've got the higher speed goal, which is 100 megabits per second of upload and 20 megabits per second of download by 2026. So that's currently kind of the goal that Minnesota is working towards. And honestly, even state officials have been deciding, like, do we need faster speeds even? 100 by 20 is pretty darn fast. You know, I don't think anybody needs 100 by 20 just to stream Netflix, but state officials will talk about, you know, it's really crucial for modern day kind of business work, really difficult work, or even just, your everyday kind of, you know, important things that you do on the internet, to have, you know, really the infrastructure for these faster speeds. So that's our goal. The feds are still kind of operating on a 25 by 3 goal. That's what they count as served by adequate broadband. And so they believe that the $652 million that they're sending to Minnesota is enough to cover the whole state. And that's because, you know, the number of served people is fewer than what the state believes is served. So, you know, they've basically have a count of about 134,000 unserved businesses and households at the federal government. If you're using the faster speed goals in Minnesota, it's 291,000. So we've just got further ways to go in the eyes of the state, and that kind of leads to a discrepancy there. It does complicate kind of how we spend the money, because the Fed, you know, they don't really want you spending money in areas they believe are already served by, you know, a company that can offer speeds at 25 by 3. And so by contrast, Minnesota would very much like to go in and put in infrastructure in some of those places where they have only access to 25 by 3. So it leads to a little bit of a crunch, but definitely there are plenty of places in which they don't have either. And then the state will be putting in infrastructure, it's my understanding, at the higher speed, in areas where they can go in with the federal money. So, and the state has its own pool of money. You know, lawmakers approved $100 million earlier this year for the broadband program. That money can be used to put in, you know, anywhere they want under state definition and so forth. So, it's a bit complicated, but the upshot is, you know, we've got higher speed goals. That leads to a bit of a wrinkle.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out as this money gets doled out over the next few years, and to see if we can finally reach that goal of having universal broadband in Minnesota. But as we've been talking about, there still could be some challenges with this. But you can read more about what Walker wrote on this over at minpost.com. Title of the article, Why Minnesota is Unlikely to Meet Its Broadband Expansion Goals on Time Despite an Influx of Federal Cash. As we have been speaking with Walker Orenstein, the author of that article, over at Minpost. Again, make sure you find that at minpost.com. Walker, thanks so much for coming on the show today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on.
All right, let's take a break and send things back over to Matt McNeil on AM 950.
July is the annual store-wide sale at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Come see our diverse selection of wood, gas, or electric fireplace products for indoor and outdoor living. And right now, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces can assure you the best price of the season on every product in the store. Let Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces help you choose and experience the joy of sitting by a fire.
Summer is a great time to install your fireplace. You can find your perfect fireplace and have it installed and ready before the cold weather hits again. If you already have a wood fireplace, consider a fireplace insert. Come and see the entire selection at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces on East Franklin and Riverside in Minneapolis. They will create a fireplace that works for you. Efficient, clean burning, and environmentally smart.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out of the ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
I love my Toyota vehicles, so when it's time for me to get my service done, there's only one place I go, Rudy Luther Toyota. They know Toyotas inside and out. It starts with them checking your alignment and tire treads with their Hunter Quick Check Drive inspection service. Oil changes, tires, batteries, wipers, no matter what you need done, they can help you with reliable Toyota parts and the best service team in Minnesota. Check out their website, rudyluthertoyota.com, for service and part specials just for Toyota vehicles. Get your Toyota serviced at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
You know how it is with vacuum cleaners. You buy them, you break them, then you throw them away, right? Well, not necessarily. Often, fixing your vacuum can be cheaper than replacing it. Never heard of A1 Vacuum in Roseville? They offer free estimates. So if you wish your vacuum worked like new again, drop by. A1 Vacuum is ready to help clean up your vacuum cleaner act. Find us at a-1vacuum.com or call 651-222-6316.
Think your company's safe? Your staff is working from home, right? As I speak, cyber criminals are mounting attacks across the country. Remember, when we're weakest, cyber criminals attack. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
The Powderhorn Art Fair is returning to Powderhorn Park to celebrate its 32nd anniversary, August 5th and 6th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day. The fair will feature a vibrant and diverse selection of art from over 150 exhibiting artists from across the country. Whether you're just starting an art collection or a seasoned buyer, they'll have the perfect piece for you. Plus, there's more. Immersive art installations offer fairgoers a chance to explore interactive experiences that transport them into an artist's vision. In addition to all the fantastic art, over a dozen food vendors serving up sweet and savory delights will be ready for you and other hungry fairgoers. A family zone will offer creative activities for kids of all ages and entertainment each day. The fair and activities are free to attendees. Make plans to head to Powderhorn Park on August 5th and 6th. Learn more at powderhornartfair.com.
How does this sound? Doesn't this sound better? If you've decided to level your home and build new or to renovate, hire Better Futures Minnesota instead to take it apart by hand. Think before you scrap. Think of the energy and greenhouse gases saved when someone repurposes your old cabinets, fixtures, and lumber. Think of all the resources saved by diverting those building materials from the landfill. Better Futures Minnesota makes it happen for you. Hennepin County residents and public entities, funds are available to make the environmentally responsible alternative comparable to a typical demolition. For more information, check out betterfuturesminnesota.com. That's betterfuturesminnesota.com. Or call 612-351-8650. And don't forget to shop the Reuse Warehouse in Minneapolis.
Hot from 30 Bells on Main Street in Hopkins. My co-founder Tom and I developed our restaurant to celebrate everything Midwestern cuisine has to offer. Our upbeat neighborhood gathering place brings together bright personalities, bold recipes, clean ingredients, and craft spirits that play with unique flavors of the Midwest. The menu at 30 Bales is inspired by seasonal ingredients grown close to home. Some favorites include our devilish eggs, beet salad, short rib pot pie, and our decadent burgers. Join us for lunch, dinner, and weekend brunch. Go to 30bales.com to learn more.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Showers and thunderstorms possible very late tonight with a low of 71. Clearing skies on Wednesday, very hot sunshine with a high of 95. Grab a tray at Cafe Latte and pick from their award-winning selections of soups, salads, sandwiches, and desserts. Cafe Latte is at Victoria Street and Grand Avenue in St. Paul or at cafelatte.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. Thank you, Walker Ornstein, joining us. 952-946-6205. So, Patrick, have you seen the Barbie movie yet? Do you have plans to see it, or have you seen it already?
I have not had the chance to get to the movies yet, but it's on the list.
It's on my list, too. I'm going to go over there and go see this. It sounds like it's an absolute hoot, unless you're a conservative far-right person who it's basically man-hating woke propaganda that's actually made already $450 million worldwide. So, it's doing something right. I don't know why you're surprised that the main character of a movie about a Barbie doll is a woman. It would seem like that would be kind of obvious. Did you think it was going to focus on Ken's story? The Barbie story featuring Ken. No, it is. And from all accounts there, it is actually a fairly decent movie, and it makes a lot of points. And as a matter of fact, can I make this thing here? It's what I find to be hilarious about modern conservative society is that you'll have a movie about a Barbie doll, and they're like, How dare you? Unless you're telling those girls to be barefoot and pregnant, you are basically out of control and man-hating. That's that kind of thing. But it's not like women don't have a reason to be a little bit, pissed off, if you want to know the truth, because white men, you do a pretty good job, for the most part, white men, do a pretty good job of completely and totally dismissing women when it comes to issues women should be involved in. Example number one, an all-male panel of anti-abortion religious leaders from around the country met Friday night to discuss the strategies that should be used to end abortion in every state at any stage of pregnancy without exceptions for rape or incest, and with criminal punishment for the pregnant person in line with existing criminal penalties for murder, which includes the death penalty. So, a lot to unpack there. They basically they want to say, we're so pro-life, we're going to kill you. Okay. Stop ruining Christianity. You guys wonder why people aren't going to church anymore? It's this. We cherish life, so murder those people. That's it. It's like Nathan Lane in the Birdcage. That's I'm not going to go down that. You got to go see the movie. That movie is great. But no. The fact that this is still going on today, and they're trying to do this in every state. So once again, just a quick little side note: if you're a woman and you think that these Republicans are going to change willy-nilly, you're wrong. Trust me. If they were to ever win the state of Minnesota, this mentality will take over and take over very quickly. So you have to keep that in mind. The panel was part of a week-long series of events hosted by Operation Save America, an anti-abortion, anti-LGBTQ, and anti-Muslim religious group that wants all Americans to follow God's law and their interpretation of the Christian Bible, which is not really the Christian Bible. It's basically a bunch of opportunist men using the Bible, but only the parts that they want to use. Many of the events were held in Douglasville, Georgia at Praise Mills Baptist Church, which broke away from the Southern Baptist Convention for supposed acceptance of liberal social justice views. I got news for you. If you read the Gospel of Matthew, that's Jesus himself, and there's a lot of liberal social justice there. But hey, you as Christians want to just throw away Jesus. That's perfectly fine. And by the way, just a religious disclaimer, I am Christian. I've been Catholic for many years. I'm now a practicing Lutheran. I like Christianity, but I do not like what they've done with this. This is not about converting anyone. You do whatever it is you do want to do or don't want to do. I'm basically Christian, and this is why this stuff upsets me. Friday speakers included Wisconsin-based Operation Save America Director Jason Storms and former OSA Director Rusty Thomas, along with Arizona-based End Abortion Now Communications Director Zachary Conover, Georgia Right to Life President Ricardo Davis, and Gabriel Wrench, the member of the extremist Christ Church of Moscow, Idaho. And basically, so here they are, basically with not a, their whole point of the meeting is to basically subject women to their will under the false pretense of this is what Jesus wants us to do. And even going to the point now, which is, and this is really kind of to a point, one of the things about the story which is interesting is that this is now the new path. This is now we are pro-life, but we will kill you if you don't go along with us. And so it tells you everything right there. But once again, men discussing what women can do to their own bodies, their own health choices, healthcare choices, their own bodily autonomy. White men, predominantly white men, making the decisions for women. And you wonder why women sometimes rally around a strong female character. I was going to say. But is that's a national thing? And Matt, you said, okay, sure, there's some guy from Wisconsin that showed up there, but hey, is that really Minnesota? Do you really have too much in the way that of white men basically kind of, disregarding, disrespecting, women? Well, yeah, I do. We head over to the Minnesota GOP, who has announced their brand new caucus. The Suburban Solutions Caucus. That's right. Suburban Solutions. Quoting from our guest from yesterday, Michael Broadcorp, do you organize and announce the formation of a Suburban Solutions Caucus and not include any female suburban members of your caucus? Is this an SNL skit? It is hard to even comprehend this, but that's the truth. It is 6 guys who are this is Representative Ben Blakeberg, 54B, Representative Shane Hudella, 41B. I'm sorry, it's pretty small type here. Representative Andrew Myers, 45A, Representative Danny Nadeau, 34A, Representative Mark Weens, 41A, and Representative Jeff White, 57B. And they are, and white is the key word there. 6 white guys that are the Suburban Solutions Caucus, courtesy of the, exactly. By the way, it does actually even get a little bit better on this story. Not only do you have the Suburban Solutions Caucus without any women whatsoever, but as Max Halperin points out, the Suburban Solutions Caucus consists of representatives in districts 54B, 41B, 45A, 34A, 41A, and 57B. And they offer testimonials from residents of Minnetonka, Woodbury, Bloomington, and Stillwater. Unless I am misreading maps, not a single constituent any of them represent. So it's 6 guys who basically are putting themselves out as the Suburban Solutions Caucus. Not a single Republican woman involved in this. Not a single Republican woman involved in this. And they're basically saying we're acting on behalf of districts where you guys couldn't win if your life depended on it. Well, maybe Stillwater, but Bloomington, you're not going to win again. Woodbury, you're not going to win again. Minnetonka, you're not going to win again. So, yeah. And it should be noted, as Michael Broadcorp dug up here, the Suburban Solutions Caucus domain for their internet page was purchased on June 12th, 2023, 6 weeks ago. During that time, someone built a website focusing on the 6 white guys. It took a lot of effort and time to exclude women from this. You can't make it up. But yet women enjoying the Barbie movie because it's a fun little movie. For conservative far right, it's anti-male wokeness. All right. You guys can't even get out of your own damn way. And okay, fine. I'll give the 6 white guys here. Okay, fine. When it comes down to it, are you going to break with your party and vote for issues that the suburbs want? Or are you basically going to just tuck your tail between your legs and go quiet and just say, well, the outstate Republicans, they told me I had to vote this way? Because it's one thing to say you're going to try to solve the great mystery of this. The reality is your party is lunatic fringe far right. And unless you guys are willing right now to come on out there and say, if they get too far extreme to the right, I will vote against those bills and vote with the Democrats. And I guarantee you, you will not say that. So this is all just a dog and pony show. This is all just we're suburbs. Huh. And that's it. That's the suburbs. Yeah, that's us. They're trying to trick you into voting for them. But like I said, that aside, dude, you guys, I could just see how proud you guys were putting this all together and not thinking to yourself for one second, should we invite a chick to join us? Nah, we don't need a chickie boo. They'll just tie us down. We're the Suburban Solutions Caucus. Good luck with all that. No, good luck with all that, guys. Go see the Barbie movie. It sounds like it's a hoot. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950. Hi, Matt McNeil for Rudy Luther Toyota. You've heard me talk about the Rudy Luther Toyota We Buy program. Now hear from someone who's actually done it, me. Our kids' car, the 2006 Toyota Sienna, served us well for 17 years, but it was finally time to say goodbye. The We Buy program is really simple. I gave them some basic information, we set up an appointment, and after a quick verification, they gave me an estimate and a check, and they made me a generous offer. It was that fast. See for yourself. Try the Rudy Luther Toyota We Buy program at rudyluthertoyota.com.
Hi, this is Ken Hageland, host of Living Healthy and Aging Well, inviting you to listen to our live call-in talk show airing every Saturday from noon to 1, where we talk about your health and your life and provide insights you need to know to live and age well. Each week, we talk with guests who provide answers to important questions regarding healthcare, elder care, end-of-life care, and self-care for caregivers, and help you and your loved ones plan for the future and enjoy your highest quality of life today. Please join us every Saturday from noon to 1 on AM 950 for Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Do yourself a favor and check out the amazing cuisine of eatlocalminnesota.com. More than just a website, eatlocalminnesota.com provides you with the best local and independently owned restaurants in the Twin Cities. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking cuisine, the Great Wall Chinese restaurant has been a local favorite since 1981. They offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include the sesame chicken, imperial beef, and Peking duck. The Great Wall restaurant is located off 45th and France, with takeout available too. More at greatwallrestaurant.us.
The next time you're out in South Minneapolis, make Nightingale off 26th and Lyndale your go-to dining option. It's a comfortable neighborhood restaurant that features a delicious menu of American classics, plus a wide drink and cocktail selection. Nightingale has dining room and bar seating available, plus takeout and delivery. Current hours are 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with the full menu until midnight. More at nightingalempls.com.
Introducing a new day of the week. Someday. Now, everything you were going to do someday is on the calendar. Want to retire someday? You'll really want this. A My Social Security account at socialsecurity.gov. You can estimate your future benefits and manage current benefits online. Millions of people have a My Social Security account. Get yours today, because someday is here at socialsecurity.gov.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. A final story today, a liberal rag is taking the Minnesota GOP to task. That liberal rag, the National Review. When a political party adopts a mindset that prioritizes loyalty to a particular figure, in this case Trump, over all other traits, eventually it tends to run low on the other traits. We'll see the consequences of this mentality on the condition of several state Republican parties. It runs through particularly four Republican parties, including Minnesota's. Recent filings with the FEC, Minnesota's Republican Party is financially struggling with barely $54 worth of cash on hand. They also have $335,000 worth of debt, apparently. Now, this has been updated. Apparently, they have some money, but they're still in debt there. Michigan, Colorado, Arizona also mentioned, and the Georgia GOP. They throw this little nugget out there. The Georgia GOP spent more in the first 6 months of 2023 than it paid out in all of 2022 to represent alternative Republican electors targeted amid Fulton County probe into whether Donald Trump and his allies committed crimes while trying to overturn the 2020 election. So it goes on to say, in these states, we are seeing this self-marginalization of the Republican Party. No outside force came along and forced these state parties to spend money, alienate traditional supporters and donors, pick nasty fights with their own lawmakers, turn loyalty to Trump into the preeminent litmus test on all issues and disputes, and alienate and repel once persuadable swing voters. Nope, the people who took over these parties chose this path. It goes on to say here, in 2014, the statewide races were a disappointment for Republicans, but the state GOP actually won the majority in the state House, picking up 11 seats to bring its total to 72. Today, Minnesota Republicans just have 64 seats in the state House. I don't see, for them to pick up the majority. I keep looking at maps. I'm like, where are they going to pick up these seats in the House? I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible, but at best it's going to be a 1, maybe a 2-seat majority. I just don't know if that's going to be possible. So, basically this article goes out there and really takes him to task. Yes, the pre-Trump Republican Party's had its faults, and there is no getting around that. Perhaps you remember it as being boring, stuffing, and predictable, with the state and local parties largely being run by nice old ladies who like to wear big hats. But those alleged boring types also tended to get the basics right, get more money coming in than going out, pay attention to down-ballot races, and avoid infighting and messy public squabbles. Prudence, diligence, coalition building, and cooperation. Sure, those traits may not quicken your pulse, but they are required to get the job done. Again, the pre-Trump GOP state parties weren't perfect, but they lost some races they ought to have won, but they also managed to win a bunch of races in states that now seem utterly repelled by the modern Republican Party. In 2014, Arizona Republicans trounced Democrats up and down the ballot. Now Democrats hold the top 3 statewide offices, and the GOP is hanging on to the state legislative chambers by its fingernails. So just and the National Review as well, piling on the current Republican status, is that when it's this extremist point of view, you're not going to win. And you guys need to do a complete party platform makeover if you're going to be successful. You're not going to do that because the far-right extremists of the parties want you to stay far-right extreme. That's just the reality. So good luck with all that. The National Review is even calling you guys out. Native Roots Radio, I'm awake. That's coming up next. Have a good one. We're back tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
Crooner's Supper Club invites you to enjoy drinks, a delicious dinner, and